Why don't we just jump straight into the Suicide Squad movie
I've
at this
been
point?
saving. I was gonna do this as a surprise, so I'll tell you when on Thursday night. I'm gonna change my gamer picture to Weasel's face.
It's the time for the Weasel.
Mm-hmm.
It's Weasel
It's
time.
Weasel time. Oh shit.
Okay, yeah. So like, I saw the roll call trailer and the behind the scenes trailer. I will
Yeah, they
say,
didn't make a trailer.
yeah, like the videos.
How the fuck? Matt Reeves has filmed 25% of his movie, and he brought a trailer, but James Gunn doesn't have a fucking trailer.
Yeah,
They finished filming.
I have no idea what the idea was there, but I will say, one, I'm surprised by how many people are in the team to start with. Obviously, I know a good amount of them are going to be Gonzo, but I was surprised how long that roll call video was. And also by the fact that I didn't know who the fucking 99% of the people in it were. Like, I was like, I've never heard of these
Michael
people.
texted me. He was like, dude, did you watch the Snyder Cut trailer? I was like, Michael, I've watched it. Like, look at the YouTube views. Those are all me. And then we started talking about Batman and Suicide Squad. And I sent it to him, and he said, "Who are these people?" I said, "I've been reading comics for a very long time. I have no fucking clue." like, I don't know who fucking. I've never seen Weasel before. I think I've heard of Ratcatcher. Like, I think I've heard of him.
I'm pretty sure Ratcatcher runs in Dog Welder's crew.
Yeah, I think that's why I've heard of. I can't believe Dog Welder's not in this, honestly.
Dude, what if he's a surprise cameo? Ratcatcher and Dog Welder back at it again.
Actually, I think that. Hold on, that might be a series. I'll look this up real quick. But like, yeah, I don't know who any of these fucking people are. They're all gonna die. And I love it.
Oh, yeah, I saw one screenshot which was like the Suicide Squad like walking in the rain, and immediately in that I was like, okay, look, all right, Javelin's not in that picture, but there's Harley Quinn holding Javelin's javelin, so he's gone. I was like looking through it. I was like, I don't see a lot of people here.
Okay, here's Section 8 Dog Welder. There's just a bunch of pictures of dogs. Oh, here we go. I don't know, I'm not giving enough of a shit.
I will say, I am all on board with how absolutely stupid the character roll call was so far. Like, I'm very excited.
What I was worried about, and this is why I don't like Tom King's Batman run, is using all these like goofy characters and like getting away from what the Suicide Squad is. Like, cause what I hate about Tom King using fucking Condiment King as a Batman villain. I mean, imagine, like, as you know, like when I read Batman, I'm reading it as Ben Affleck's Batman. You know, like I'm imagining a fucking grizzled I mean, and at the beginning of Tom King's run, he had that like, how many nights, like every night, it's over, Batman. You're done, Batman. And yet I'm still here. It's much more badass than what I just said. But like, you know, I'm imagining a fucking grizzled Batman who's been to fucking hell and back. Like, that man is not struggling to capture someone who squirts mustard. Like,
Spicy mustard.
Hate that. I absolutely hate that. It undermines the characters so much. And that's what I thought was going to happen with Suicide Squad. I thought, great, we're getting all these goofy as shit, dumb characters that honestly should not be getting the time of day. But I was wrong. Because, like, we are getting these goofy as shit characters, but they're being treated as such. like, they are not surviving.
No, they're
Like,
so
no
dead.
one is gonna struggle to take out Polka Dot Man. Like, and I really like seeing that they're these goofy as shit characters, but existing in a realistic, militaristic world. Like, they're not backing down from gruesome violence that these characters will be enduring due to their nature. Like, I really like that. Like, I don't have a doubt in my mind that we're going to be watching a lot of heads get blown up.
I'm so excited.
Like, yeah, like, this is not going to be a goofy movie. And I think the poster,
I love the poster.
I think James Gunn is perfect for this movie. Like, I was very excited to see him. Like, I'll admit there are a lot of parts about the 2016 movie that I like. There are certain scenes that I think are absolutely perfect. Like, Batman swooping in and going, "It's over, Deadshot." That scene, moi. Like, pure Batman. Like, that is perfect. Deadshot at the shooting range. Hitting every fucking target, smelling the guns. Boom. Perfect Deadshot. Deadshot killing the target. Like in the beginning for his intro thing, and then they did the cover of the comic with the bullets raining. Perfect Deadshot.
Slipknot punching that woman first thing out of the car. Perfect
Slipknot
execution.
assaulting a woman. Perfect Slipknot. Like, notice though, out of the only two characters that are perfect, Deadshot and Batman. Harley was good, but I also love Harley's costume. That's like perfect Harley. Like, no, I think that James Gunn, so what I'm saying though, like, I appreciate what David Ayer tried to do. With the release of Snyder Cut, like, movement kind of coming to a halt because we did it. There's now released the Ayer Cut and a lot more focus on that. And it's like, I think we've talked about this, but like, philosophically, I feel like I should be into it. And I was like, I'll support it. I'm not going to go out of my way. But then when David Ayer posted that script page where the Joker was like, snitches get stitches. It's like, I don't think I need to see the Ayer Cut.
I think definitely there's different factors, because I feel like, obviously I might be biased, but at least with the Snyder Cut, it made more sense because the concept was that the movie there was basically enough content to justify it as a separate movie altogether. Whereas I feel like at no point was the Ayer Cut, quote unquote, ever given, like, it was probably added more, but I don't think it ever had enough information to support it being a separate movie altogether.
And also, like, the Snyder Cut, you had another director come in and film scenes against the original director's wishes. David Ayer filmed all of that. Like, you can't really say that he didn't, like, sure, it's re-edited, and that's a pretty big deal, but it's like, I don't think the editing is really what most people have a problem with. It was a little too, like, I'll admit, it was jumbled as shit to me the first time I saw it, but I don't know if that's because I was a can of Surge into it by like a quarter of the movie in. So I was just really hyper. I
will say though, not necessarily I'm one that wants to really or cares to defend David Ayer. I will say, especially for his Joker, I imagine it's probably true for a lot of the Jokers. I feel like it's very hard to appreciate any Joker lines if you read them on paper, though. Like, I will say, obviously I don't
That's
think that
fair.
line is good, but I also don't think Joker is a very easy person to convey as like as interestingly on paper. Some people can do it. I'm not saying no one can do it, but I
Well,
also think it's gonna work against him if he tries to leak Joker lines. I don't think it's gonna
what
help him.
kills me is that, like, in my opinion, Jared Leto is like perfect for a Joker. I think that Jared Leto is a great actor. Like, he... What do I like him in? What was he in? Surely he's in something that I like besides Blade Runner. Have I been talking out of my ass defending this guy for no reason?
I'm blanking on the movies he's been in, but I know there's at least one or two that I should be remembering that I've actually
He was
seen.
in American Psycho, but honestly,
Yeah.
he wasn't. I mean, he wasn't in it for that much.
He's in
Who was
Fight
in
Club a
Fight
decent
Club?
amount. He's
I
like
don't remember.
he's like one of the up and coming lackeys under Tyler Durden. Like he's like one of the most prominent, like, yeah, let's do what Tyler says kind of thing. In their like organization.
Shit, I don't know him at all. Never mind, I'm defending this guy.
Lessons learned.
Yeah. I like his look besides the tattoos, and I liked how scary he looked.
Definitely.
Like, I think that he has besides the tattoos, I think he has the, like, closest aesthetic to a comic book Joker. And I don't know, I think he was more Joker than Joaquin Phoenix. That's going to be my hot take. But I don't consider Joaquin Phoenix to be the Joker. He's just the king of comedy, the second one.
That's a hot take. But no, I'd agree.
I know.
I'd say it's interesting because, and this is something I definitely like. I'm not gonna say like, oh, I was like IQ 9000 and I knew it in the moment, but like after the fact, looking on it, when I compare what my expectation for a Joker was based off all the things I watched of Joker when I was young, like the cartoons and all the movies I saw, it's interesting to me that looking back on it, I don't necessarily consider any Joker I've seen live action to actually match those Jokers I knew when I was a kid. Like,
no,
obviously, like the big one is always Heath Ledger's, but when I look at it, like the Jokers, like that I saw in all the media and stuff when I was young, were literal like psychopaths. Like that you could never understand their plot of, like you never understood really what drove, like what their next step was. You couldn't really understand the logic behind this step. Whereas like looking back on it, Heath Ledger was an anarchist. Like like you can understand once what he's doing. Once you understand that the whole thing he's trying to prove is that everyone has evil in them. Like he has like this like more definable like perception of the world and like the things around him. Whereas like every Joker I remember when I was younger would be like he walk up and there's a 50-50 shot that no matter what happened or what the other person says, they will die in that situation or they will join Joker. Like you never really understand which is happening.
And that, like, to me, the best representation of the Joker outside of a comic book will be the Arkham games. Like, hands down. That is the best.
Well, going back to the Suicide Squad movie, I guess the last thing I really pulled away from the trailer was that I did notice how, I guess the plot for this movie seems like they're just taking an attack on like a foreign country. Like it's a Suicide Squad, like doing some mission in like some foreign country. Which
actually, you know what's funny about that? I read apparently there's a leak that said, and this is funny because remember when the final Suicide Squad trailer released and it had the big purple spiral over Earth? And I was like, yo, Starro's the villain? That's dope. Supposedly, and I don't know if there's any, obviously there might not be any credence to this, But supposedly, Starro is the villain of the movie,
Really?
according to one leak. And I think that would be interesting.
That'd be very interesting. Not necessarily
That's
something
not the
I
Steven.
can rule out or not. Yeah, because
Well,
as
like,
far as as wacky as they're leaning into, like I think nothing
the
nothing makes me feel like, oh, that can't happen or that could happen. Like I could technically see that happening.
the irony, I really like. Because I remember after Suicide Squad came out, I always said this should have been like just these characters doing an assault on a like Middle Eastern terrorist group.
Which the
Like,
behind the scenes trailer that I just rewatched while we were talking, like it very much looks
yeah,
like that's exactly what it's trying to show it as. Like I'm
and
seeing all
that's
the
what I'm.
soldiers wearing like this special country badge on their arms that they're fighting,
I
and
think
it looks like
someone said that that's uh, Paraguay.
hmm.
I think. Yeah, I think it's Paraguay, which is significant because that's where, like, it's in the same region that Doom Patrol did in season 1 when they were finding Mr. Nobody.
Oh.
So that's, oh, speaking of TV though, like, I'm surprised that they went with, like, something I'm really excited about is DC doesn't seem to have any apprehension about using TV characters again in the movies. Like,
Yeah.
Peter Capaldi as the Thinker, that is big brain. Like, that's like perfect casting. And I'm really excited that we get to see a good Thinker. Like, and I know, like, you know, some people might say that's me shitting on the CW. Well, that's because it is. That's exactly what I'm doing.
So I guess there's three things before the only piece you're sticking around here for. So let's just start with whatever we have to say about Black Adam. So it's small animated, like more of like a PowerPoint slideshow of concept
That
art.
wasn't the movie?
But yeah, so what did you think about the PowerPoint slideshow, and also how do you feel about us getting to see the Justice Society of America with Atom Smasher, Doctor Fate, Hawkman, and I don't know who the fourth is. I forget who.
Calypso? No. I'm hella psyched. I actually, like, I'll admit I'm a little. I hope that we get like a good amount of the movie in ancient Egypt. Like, that is what I'm most hyped for. I hope that's not just like the first 10 minutes and then we do a time jump. Like, I want to see, and it really seems like they're focusing on the slave rising aspect. Like, I want to see at least an hour of that, and I really hope we do.
I mean, that definitely would be the most interesting part. Which that's what I thought was really interesting, was because, like I've never followed too much of the overall available storylines and stuff written for Black Adam, but I do know that from a while back now I've been familiar with his origins as like the slave in ancient Egypt, and so I always thought, like, I guess maybe somehow I turned out wrong here, but especially in now's like political climate, I thought there was no way they were gonna do that because he's not Egyptian. Like, he's Pacific. He's a Pacific Islander, and I thought, like, I don't think they'd even put him as Egyptian. Like, I just assumed that they wouldn't, and I was surprised that they stuck with that. Like, not to say that I have a problem with that, but I assumed that they would be like, no, it's too risky to like have him be Egyptian when he's not.
That's something that I saw people on Reddit talking about, and on the one hand, like, yeah, I kind of get the point. But, like, I don't know. I think it'll be interesting if he does an accent. Probably shouldn't do an accent.
That would probably be very much playing dangerous waters.
We're not going to get, like, The Rock is the perfect Black Adam. And
no.
Rami Malek isn't about to be playing Black Adam. No, we don't have many Egyptian actor choices here.
That is true. Hollywood does not really like to go deep in their roster if it's not a white man or a female. Usually not pretty deep.
Yeah. So, I think as long as it's not a white guy, and this is obviously coming from a white guy, like, I don't really, I think that The Rock is, like, like, I don't think we're about to see The Rock wearing some, like, Night at the Museum level shit, like, doing the fucking, like, Sphinx dance. I think it's a project that's being done with respect for the character. Like, he's been working on it for, like, 10 years now. Like, I think
Yeah, I mean,
it's in
no,
good hands.
I definitely agree. I don't think they're gonna be like approaching this from what I think usually when like characters are misracially casted or concerned about, where they think they're gonna be disrespectful to the authenticity of the character's race. And I think obviously in this case, I don't think they're gonna be doing that because they care so much about this. And it's not that I want to enter this whole discussion, but I think it's a similar point that a lot of times you see come up with live action anime adaptations, where a lot of people complain about how like the main characters aren't always casted as Japanese. And I've always considered that actually to be inaccurate, because I think a lot of times when the characters are like written in the original comic books or stories, the characters' designs aren't like aesthetic features of traditionally Japanese people. Like they're usually
look
a
how
mix of a
wide
bunch
their
of different.
eyes are.
Yeah, like a lot. Like Goku does not look like he has ancient Asian roots, like any kind of Asian roots, because they like meld a bunch of features to make a character look a certain way. Which is why personally I've never really had a problem with a lot of times where they like the casting doesn't match, because I usually focus more on the aesthetic similarities. Like if a character looks similar, it's more important than the racial matching below it. Obviously, for other properties where like it could be seen as they're doing it in spite of like to spite some people, it's different. But in this case, I don't think that's the case. I think they just wanted to get someone who looks a lot like Black Adam, and a lot of interpretations I've seen of Black Adam outside of this movie, they do look like how The Rock looks in the pictures. Like,
oh yeah,
very much physically dominant, like facial feature structure.
I'll admit, I wish he wore the hair. I do kind of like the hair. But that's okay. Like, I still think he looks fucking perfect. So the thing that I just hope that they have a section of like him stealing things to show that the Egyptians are dirty thieves.
Jesus Christ.
But no, I mean, like, what honestly, like, the thing that has me the most hyped for is in that panel alone, The Rock teased him fighting Superman 3 times.
He did. Yeah.
Like, Superman is definitely gonna be in this movie.
That's fantastic.
He's the The Rock, and like, I don't care what anyone says. Like, if Warner Brothers might be thinking of a new Superman. First of all, fucking doubt it. Second of all, The Rock is the highest paid actor in Hollywood. He is also the highest grossing actor in Hollywood. If The Rock walks into Warner Brothers offices and says, yeah, Henry Cavill is going to be in this movie and I'm going to beat the shit out of him, they're not saying no to that man. Like,
especially once the trailer drops. I mean, once you can't go back, they're not going to just throw away all the money they spent.
When they see that The Rock has already filmed his scenes with Henry Cavill.
It's like, all right, guys, so I know we released a trailer and we spent about, let's say, $500 million on the movie, half of that being The Rock's salary for the year. Let's just cut it now, because we don't really want to talk to Henry anymore. Let's just cancel it now. Just $500 down the drain.
Okay, but let's be real. This is the same studio, and I know that we're not allowed to talk about this yet, but this is the same studio who spent $50 million and reshot Zack's Justice League with that abomination.
I mean, yes, but to be fair, even that's still like in this case, they couldn't just reshoot going forward if they lost Dwayne the Rock Johnson because he's already been promoted by them. Like in this case, they either have to gut it all together or they do what he says. Like they don't really have at this point it's like obviously it's not too different, but like in that case, even though it was very misguided, they thought, oh, we'll make more money this way because we can still change it and it's not going to affect perception from a public view. Like no one's going to notice.
The Rock is stepping down from finishing Black Adam. He will still be in most of the scenes. We're doing some light reshoots. Rami Malek will be playing. He's still in like the Mr. Robot hoodie. They'll CGI now.
But yeah, no, that's great. I am excited, and I'm really curious to see the JSA. I'm really curious to see Dr. Fate looks like.
Psyched. That's the thing. I'm most excited for Dr. Fate, but because that's confirmed.
Mm-hmm.
But the possibility. So I'm sure you've seen on DC Cinematic, people have been connecting the purple crystal next to Black Adam's face is from Eclipse. Oh, maybe that's Eclipso. Let me Google this real quick. I think that's Eclipso, who's a big Spectre villain. And the possibility of seeing Spectre in this movie like brings me to whole new levels of hype. Spectre is one of my favorite DC Comics characters. Like, I don't know how the fuck he hasn't got. Well, I do know how he hasn't gotten a movie. Fucking The Flash hasn't even gotten his own movie. But yeah, like, so the possibility of seeing Spectre really has got me going. I'm very excited for that.
And I mean, I wasn't even. I'm not all too familiar with the character, but like, the more characters and universe they expand on, the more I have to be interested in, honestly. But yeah, Black Adam, it's great. I'm really curious to see who they cast. But speaking of other characters' movies, I mean, I imagine I'm curious if you have really anything much to comment after this, but the Wonder Woman trailer came out.
Yeah,
this is the first one that showed Cheetah's design.
I don't mind. I think it looks great for Cheetah. Like, I think she looks fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely will say I was just like, whoa, like I don't know what I was imagining. I don't know if I had any kind of thoughts in mind because I don't really know. Like the only reference of human looking creatures is cats, and I don't want to base any expectations off any kind of thing related to cats. So I didn't know what I was expecting, but I don't no. I mean, I'm pretty intrigued by the design choice.
First of all, anyone shitting on cats, like, yes, it looks fucking terrifying. But that is what a humanoid cat looks like. Fuck you for not thinking that. Like a humanoid cat is a terrifying thing to think about. Look at Weasel. Like, that is accurate. Like, I don't give a shit. There's no way to make that look good. It looks great. Because that's what it fucking looks like. It's terrifying, you know? Like, no, I mean, fucking cheetah. Like, yep, that's a humanoid cheetah. Why are we still using this character, though? Like, what the fuck? Like, I was texting about this, and she asked me, she was like, I didn't realize Cheetah was going to be the villain. And I said, yeah, I wasn't thrilled about that. And we were talking about Cheetah, and I said, I was like, yeah, so imagine you have an ancient goddess warrior who trained on a island with the hottest like warriors ever and possibly the strongest people to like occupy the earth, and you were literally given life by Zeus himself, and your rival is a cat lady. Like, doesn't feel terribly balanced to me. Like,
well, that's definitely.
I'd have gone Cersei, and then I looked up Wonder Woman villains because I was like, I really only know Ares, Cersei, and Cheetah. Here's who they should have used: Angle Man. He's Italian for one.
Oh,
Could have gotten some representation there.
Here we go.
Google Angle Man DC.
Is that angle like the math angle kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly. And don't look up, like, apparently they reinvented him in the New 52. Don't look up that bullshit. Check out the Golden Age Angle Man. He has a right triangle that he carries around, and he does crimes. Each crime having, wait for it, a new angle. It's got the stupidest fucking, green suit. It's like, Wonder Woman's been around for how many fucking years? And, Angle Man, that's a fucking villain he's out of her. Wonder Woman needs some better villains. She recently got I think she makes a really good Wonder Woman villain. Grail. It's Darkseid's daughter. I think I think I would have gone Ares, Cersei, and then Grail for the third villain. And for the third movie. I would fuck Cheetah. I don't give a shit about Cheetah. I don't know. I'm not really interested in Wonder Woman 84. I'm excited to see Pedro Pascal as Maxwell Lord. It's pretty clear now that they're just doing the Tower of Babel plot without the Justice League. So it's But I'm excited to see it, but honestly, it is my least hyped thing. Out of everything else.
Honestly speaking, I will say I'm definitely not in the as uninterested in Cheetah train as you, because I know I've said before that not necessarily anything that I really crazy love about the character's origins or story of Cheetah, but I've always liked how her fighting style's been portrayed, and I feel as far as superhero fight combats go, that could always be really interesting because of how she fights and how visually it's very clear how it should look different than the standard martial art-esque inspired combat.
I mean, using that logic, Scorpion has an interesting fighting tactic by using his tail.
I mean, it could be cool if someone tried to make it cool, right? There's potential. I can't be blamed if no one wants to tap that potential. Scorpion is a peacock, man. You gotta let him fly.
Let him? No, I will. Yeah, I mean, I think visually, that's true. Visually, you could have it be interesting.
And I do think too, it's this is also just the benefit of the doubt thing, but Kristen Wiig seems Kristen Wiig is a very talented person and actor and performer, so I have hope that because she's involved in a character she's portraying, that there is a chance that it could be better than just me expecting the fighting to be good. But I mean, all that said, I will say even now, my interest for Wonder Woman 84, maybe because I know it's already so close, or maybe just because of how close Wonder Woman the first one was to being everything I hoped it'd be but wasn't. Maybe that's why, but I also agree it's not it's probably my least hyped thing currently, as far as especially the movies go, for sure. But at this fandom, as far as trailers go, it definitely is my least excited thing, to say the least.
No. Segueing from I'm just leaving Wonder Woman. But speaking when the Batman panel started, I was pretty excited for Batman.
Mm-hmm.
But every time Matt Reeves spoke, I got less and less excited. I really wished, and it's funny because I there's a post on DC Cinematic that was like idea for HBO Max show where Matt Reeves just talks about the Batman for 30 minutes a week. I would hate that. Like, every time he spoke, I got less and less hyped. Let me find this text with Damien. He said, like, one sec.
No problem. While you look that up, I will say I didn't see any of the panels because I was unable to due to circumstance at the moment. So when I saw the trailers, I saw it independent of the panels. So it sounds like now that might have been.
You didn't watch the panels?
I didn't get the opportunity to.
Oh, okay. Don't watch it. I mean,
okay.
You might be interested, but like, all right.
I'll really probably now at this point I'll watch it just so I know what you're talking about, as opposed to before when I would have watched it to see if anything interesting was said there.
So, let me see if I can screenshot this and send it. Oh yeah, totally. Oh shit, no. I wanna try to save it with the times that these texts were sent. Yeah, here we go. You can kind of see it. But we literally sent this text to each other, quoting Matt Reeves at the exact same time. Without being an origin story, it's an origin story. It's like, I am so sick of Batman origin stories. Like, I don't want to see Batman just starting off. Like, I want an established, like, in my mind, like, I know that, like, I'm in a very small minority that wants to see the old, grizzled Batman. But I think a nice compromise would be, like, Arkham level Batman. You know? Like Matt Reeves, he kept saying, like, the Riddler isn't the Riddler yet. Catwoman isn't Catwoman yet. Penguin, he's not Penguin yet. Why not? Like, fuck it. Why not? We don't need to see these characters, like, earn their names. Like, everyone knows who the fucking Riddler is. Like, and that's, like, so then, I'll jump ahead a bit, but go back. Like, after watching the trailer, I'm hyped as fuck. But, like, the thing that I don't like is, like, I love that we're finally getting a detective Batman story. I think it's great. But it's like, well, who done it? The Riddler did. I just watched him do it. Like, it's not a mystery. Like,
halfway through the movie, Batman turns to the screen. He's like, "Do you guys know who killed the man?"
Oh my god! Let me send you this fucking text with Michael. I literally said, oh yeah. I like that they're leaning into the detective story, but I'm sick of early career Batman. I love having an established Gotham with a Batman that already fought all these guys. TV, they should have brought back Danny DeVito for Penguin. And then that's what Michael said. And then he goes, I'm going to get tilted if this movie is all riddles that we got to solve ourselves. Batman just stares at the camera like Dora the Explorer waiting for you to solve it. I saw one YouTube comment that was like, this movie's gonna fuck me up if I gotta help Batman find all those damn Riddler trophies. No, but like I've read, because in the Batman Hush animated movie, apparently they combined Hush and the Riddler, which I'm not down with. Like, I honestly hate Hush. Like, I think it's an awful fucking story, and I know that I'm definitely in the minority there. I really did not like it. I thought it was stupid. Like, Batman has a secret brother. Like, what the fuck? Like, get the fuck out of this 1980s ass, like, twist out of here. Like, Batman, I'm your brother. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, get the fuck out of here with that.
Yeah, I always
But
thought that choice for because like yeah, I didn't originally learn about Hush from the comic books, even though I'd always heard about the comic books because everyone talks about how Hush is like one of the best storylines. But my first introduction to like a story involving Hush was when he was in Arkham City, and so I remember I was like, when I saw the
oh,
Arkham
that's
City
right.
one, I was like, that's an interesting mechanic, like a character who not super powered, but you don't know how the hell to deal with him because every time he's gone, you don't know when the hell he's coming back because like you don't know what he looks like. He keeps changing his goddamn face, and he's kind of like a serial killer because he keeps
That's
skinning
Clayface.
people and making bodies mask. Yeah, well now it's
He's
Clayface, the actor of our
he's just a
generation.
shitty like he's just a shitty Clayface because every time he does it, he has to go in for a life threatening surgery.
Yeah. Well,
And
see,
he's
that's
not
why.
like and he's not super strength or anything special like that. He's just a guy.
See, yeah, now he's useless because now Harley Quinn has created a definitive Clayface who can do that, but I don't think Clayface has
Exactly.
ever done that prior. So,
I got a
Hush
feeling
had
we're not
value.
seeing that Clayface in Matt Reeves' Batman.
100%
Just
not.
based on the trailer, I'm gonna guess
Listen, I
probably
don't,
not.
I don't think we're gonna see anything to the like phantasmal elements of Clayface, like the
And that's the
fantasy
issue.
element.
No,
And
I'm
so,
very
well, that's
happy
the
about
thing.
that. Jeez.
So, I know when the idea first came, we were both excited, and then as the pictures for the like design of the suit and the car came, we both lost a little bit of excitement,
I
and
hate the suit.
I know I said, and back then I remember I said even though I agree that I didn't like the design of the suit or the car, that I was still had optimism because I really like Matt Reeves' work on the Planet of the Apes series, and I do like Robert Pattinson as just an actor, and I liked how like who they were casting around them as just not necessarily as maybe good casting choices, but I thought they were interesting. And I will say, I really like this trailer. I really, really like this trailer, and I'm really excited. And
Oh boy.
and I will
I
say,
feel a big butt coming.
no, 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 it's all good. I will say I like the suit and car designs a lot better when I see it through the forced viewpoint that they show in the trailers. I don't like the
I was
images. When I
actually
look
gonna
at the
say
images, I didn't like them. But when I saw, like for example, at the beginning of the trailer, when he walks in and he looks at the note, I thought, okay, like this isn't my favorite suit of all time. But to be fair, that's never stopped me from liking a movie. Like 90%
well,
of the Batman movies I've seen are not my favorite suit of all time. But I'm okay with this. Like I actually really liked how the suit looked when I saw it in the shot in the movie.
it's funny because I dislike it even more seeing it in motion.
Mm.
I think the cowl looks derpy as shit, and it looks like the flat. It almost looks like they saw. Remember that picture of uh young Batman from Gotham?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Kind
I
of
do.
reminds me of that. And I just like, what the fuck? Like, I I hate the like Iron Man ass like ab piece. I will admit, I like the Batmobiles growing on me, but like it's no Batfleck Batmobile.
Sure, sure,
Which to
and
me is
I'll agree with.
perfection.
I will agree with that. Admittedly, looking at it more with the trailer more now since we've seen it, I do see. I feel like the design of the Batmobile makes a lot more sense to me, and like I can see
That's
why they went so drastically different from all the more common ones where like Batflex was like a fucking assault like a high speed
yeah.
assault vehicle, and then the Tumbler was just like a tank with like a sports car tank, and so I see why they went with like a sleeker car that like very
Well,
much could be designed into like a standard car.
and this is kind of where the other thing that Matt Reeves kept on saying that was killing my hype. He kept saying this. This is a grounded Batman. I am so fucking sick of grounded Batman. Like I had to deal with like 8 years of grounded Batman between in the Nolan verse. Like we finally got a Batman that looked at Superman, a fucking god. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna kill him. Like, imagine the threats that Batman faces in the Arkham games. Do you see any live action Batman besides Batfleck being able to take any of those?
I don't. But I will say, and this is very much just like, maybe I'm just reading really too into it, but knowing that this is like their year 2, as they say at Batman, and seeing what, like, how the movie's portraying it now, not that they're gonna, because like I said, I when Matt Reeves says like he's grounded, as much as I don't like that, I very much believe that that's like a locked in thing where they're never gonna really, like, I believe that like for his vision now and going forward is always gonna be like stick to the more like grounded elements, which I will agree I'm not super excited about, because that's been the kind of the de facto Batman movie version for so long, as opposed to the brief window we got where Batman was taking on these larger than life threats, which I feel like is interesting since DC's comics have always felt more not intentionally not grounded. But
yeah,
I feel like this character at least like lends more of me to believe a character that could become that like larger than life badass way down the line, admittedly. Whereas like, because like even now he seems like in this trailer, like I felt like, okay, this Batman though, like he's not fucking around. Like his suit doesn't just like, it's not like some, oh, like it's pretty garbage and then he like upgrades it slowly by slowly. It looks like, no, he's starting off like a human tank in like human form. And if this is his year 2, and now knowing that he has like 10 years in the bucket left, like I can see him becoming a god tank later on. Like,
yeah, and I can appreciate that. Like, what I really like about this Batman is that like the rage, like, and this goes with Robert Pattinson. Like, I have complete faith in him. I think he's a fucking badass. And like how we talked about in interviews, how we're gonna see this unhealthy Batman, and that has me hyped. Like I've always hated when they try to treat Batman as like this perfect role model and this guy to live out. Like, no, Batman is fucked in the head. This bro fucking dresses up like a bat at night and goes and beats the mentally ill. Like, that is not a role model.
And then he locks them up, knowing that he's gonna have to do the same thing to the same people the next week.
No. That's where you're wrong. I mean, he doesn't lock them up knowing that he's gonna have to. He locks them up knowing that he's gonna get to. Like, why do you think he doesn't improve Arkham security? Like, oops, I dropped the keys. Like,
I'd hate if you walked out and bombed the First National Bank next week on Friday from 8 to 7.
Commissioner Joker poisoned Gotham's water line. Joker's locked up. Oh, better go interrogate him then.
But yeah, so I will say one thing. Speaking of what you said about the puzzles, though, one thing I did like, and that I honestly, even though I'd followed all the casting news and I knew like, oh, they got Paul Dano as Riddler, they got blah blah blah's Penguin, got Catwoman, like I saw all the characters they were casting. It never occurred to me that Riddler would be the main villain, and so when it started off like that,
did it for me actually.
Well, yeah, no, and then when it started off, and I saw like, and I actually kind of really like this, where that card he sends in the trailer where it says like solve this riddle, and I saw how on Reddit someone solved it. And I looked at how they solved it, and I was like, okay, so, like, obviously, like, it's an actual riddle. Like, obviously, it's not necessarily the highest grade of what Batman will do, but I actually really like that it was an actual riddle, and he had to solve it. And so, like you said, it seems like they're very much leaning into the detective aspect, which is something that, hasn't really been a thing very commonly at all for Batman
what's sad
in movies.
About that is Batman is world's greatest detective. I know that obviously I'm biased here, but I'd say that Batman v Superman is the closest example we've seen to Batman being a detective. And the sad part about that is that was not a good example. Like,
no, I
him
mean,
investigating the white Portuguese.
I would be in the same boat where I have not as much as you, obviously, but I have a bias towards BVS. But I would agree that BVS is probably the most recent
Whoa.
and strongest example of a detective focused Batman. And it's not really even that detective focused at all, but it's leagues
like, that's
behind,
the
it's
thing.
leagues above beyond anything else I can think of.
He's like the Nolan verse. Definitely, he was not detecting.
Yeah, they kind of do a Deus Ex Machina his way into discovery. Like, all right, here's our phone pinging system that can ping the entire city. So just keep pinging phones until you find out where the bad guy is and just break in.
And exactly, like, so no, I'm definitely like the whole Zodiac killer vibe. Like, that's got me hyped. Again, like, I'm kind of curious because it's like, okay, it's the Riddler, like, obviously. But no, I'm really excited for it. But the thing is that to me, it just looks like a better version of like, it just looks like better Nolan movies. Which, sure, great, but that's not what I'm looking for anymore. Like, that's what I wanted 10 years ago. Now, though, like, I want to see Batman fighting these larger-than-life characters. Like, I want to see Batman, like, and Damien and I were talking about this, like, I want to see a straight-up horror movie of, like, Batman trapped in Arkham Asylum, having to fight his whole fucking rogues gallery. Like, I want to see Batman take on Deathstroke. I want to see Batman fight Mr. Freeze, like, with his giant fucking ice gun.
No, I really like that you said that, because that's something. Starting with the Nolan point, that's something that I did think when I was watching the trailer. There were certain shots that I saw, and I was like, this very very much feels like they're taking like noted visual inspiration from a lot of the Nolan shots, and like I will agree, like I felt that immediately when seeing the trailer, like the shot when the car drives into the that meeting they're having. That it very much gave me a Nolan vibe as far as the visual layout and style, and not that it's an equal amount, but funny thing is I kind of felt the same way in relation to BVS for One Shot, and I don't know why, and the only reason I can think of doesn't feel like a very strong reason. I understand that, but when I saw the shot, it still made me very much think like visually this is reminding me of BVS, and it's the shot at the end when he's kind of staring into his TV in his garage, and I think the Riddler's saying like
I feel that
he's talking to him, and it's just the backlight, like it's like the whole empty warehouse, but there's a backlight shining in on him looking at a bunch of computers, and for some reason I thought that, I was like, that feels very weirdly BVS, like this single shot.
Well, because there's the scene where Batfleck rushes in, and then he takes off the cowl and stares menacingly into the computer. Like, no,
well, I mean, obviously, like from the exact layout too, but like even the feeling, I meant, like, obviously visually, I understood the light and stuff.
I think that Robert Pattinson is a fucking great Batman. Like, I'm not discounting that. Like, actually, my favorite shot from the trailer was, the beginning, like, when you see all the cops, like, staring weirdly, and then you see Batman standing amongst all those, like, the whole room of cops. I really like that. Like, my biggest complaint that with Batfleck, actually, surprisingly, is that we never got, and hopefully this changes in the thing that we're going to talk about next, but, like, we never got to see him interact with the Gotham City PD, really. Like, I guess those two cops in the beginning of BVS. But, like, I love seeing Batman in a room full of cops, because that, I think it just perfectly shows how fucked up this guy is. Like, here he is here's some guy dressed up like a bat doing whatever the fuck he wants in a room full of people who should 100% be arresting him, but they all know that they can't. Like, I think it creates a really interesting vibe, and I think they nailed it in that scene.
Yeah.
I really hope, this is like my hopes for the sequel, I want to see him take in Robin. I really want a Batman and Robin movie.
That's interesting, because that actually is funny that you say that, because it kind of like the other point you mentioned about how the like type of Batman you want like a Batman who like fights the larger than life threats, is that when I saw this, like I agree, I understand where like the feeling of like this kind of just feels like an upgraded Nolan movie comes from, but there is something that I think that this movie feels like it could and might be trying to achieve that I don't think that I think is an important part of Batman, but I don't think is necessarily being achieved or being focused on with what I don't think Nolan ever tried to focus on this specifically, and I don't think Batfleck has been, and I don't think it was a part of it, is the like straight like not just fear of how powerful the enemies are, but just fear and like general fearsome scariness of like the Batman universe. I think actually I just misspoke. Ben Affleck's Batman, I think, had a section that did very much try to like dabble in that, and I think it's that whole the house busting scene in BVS. But I think like, and I know this is a bad example just because it's like one very specific example, but I remember the Long Halloween book, and like when like the art style itself is very creepy and very scary and very like just kind of like, I don't know what the word is, but like very repulsive to the eyes in a sense, and like it looks just graphically like displeasing. And I think this movie feels like it might have a better shot of, and might be looking to kind of achieve that, where like there were parts where I got quote unquote scared in the Nolan movies, but they weren't necessarily like things that were scary independent as related to the scene itself. They were more scary because it was like in an instant, like jump scares, or like, oh, that's conceptually scary, but not something that I look at and like that is terrifying, like a true like persistent fear, I would say. Where like, yeah, like the Joker, Heath Ledger's Joker at point scared me, like when he stabbed the guy's head through this pencil, like that scared me in the moment. I was like, oh god. But like not exactly like that's like thrilling, but not fearful. Like and in the same way, like Ben Affleck, the house scene was very much scary when you like you don't know necessarily what's in the house, and then it moves on from that. And I think like there's a different sense of fear in that. We're like, oh yeah, there's a good reason to fear when like you see Doomsday come out and he's destroying shit, and you're like, Batman's so fucked right now. But like obviously it's still different than like Batman facing like the Joker, like a suicide maniac who's like you talk. I remember the scene. I forget from what book you told me about when we were talking about this, about how there's a part where like the Joker attacks GCPD and the lights go out and you don't see anything, but all you hear him is snapping the necks of cops. Yeah, and how you said like at one point he starts retelling Gordon about his like smoking habits and stuff, and you find out like as it goes on that he was just underneath Gordon's bed this whole time.
Yeah.
And so like that's fucking fearful, but like that's something that's not necessarily larger than life god aspect that needs to be. Ideally, in an ideal world, we'd get one where I think can combine and do all of that. But in this case, I really think that this movie could be, and I think it could strive to achieve this kind of like visual fear, like a scary Gotham, like Gotham where you're just like, please stop showing me. And so the reason I what you said about Robin brings me back to this is because I thought about the Red Hood stuff, and like I think I've talked about this before, how I always imagine a Batman movie that ends with just an unfiltered, uncut interaction where Joker's just beating the ever living shit out of Jason Todd and just wailing on him, and Jason Todd just like crying for help, and how the movie just ends on that, and like how that would be absolutely terrifying to have to watch. But like in that same sense, that's a scene that's very terrifying, and I don't think that's ever been like attempted, but I feel like that's something that this movie more than others would be trying to go for, like something you hate to see it, but you can't look away. Kind of.
I would love to see, and actually like I think this goes even more well with my Joker cast. but like the Joker with his cut off face
Oh God, that's
and
what
stitched
I was
back
thinking of,
on,
but that's
that would work
so scary.
so perfectly for them. Like, I am hella hyped for, like I said, like I'm very excited. The Batman is I think right now it's tied with Suicide Squad. I'm very interested to see like the craziness of Suicide Squad. But like, I think this will be the best Batman movie yet. It's just like, to me, it's unfortunate because I know that Ben Affleck's Batman movie would have been my favorite Batman movie. But hey, you never fucking know. Like, I know it's crazy talk, but at this point, you gotta admit, the word impossible cannot be in our vocabulary anymore.
That is true. That is true. You never want to lock yourself in with an absolute statement because you never know when things can change. Because I mean, at some point, the best way to put it is, for example, for you, at some point, your favorite Batman movie was something that wasn't Ben Affleck Batman, not because Ben Affleck Batman didn't exist at that time, and then Ben Affleck Batman came, and now you wouldn't trade him for anything.
Well,
So?
I mean, no, I'm saying that, never say never, because that movie might get made.
Oh. No, I mean that too, but I'm saying like the never say never applies to anything. So if it can apply for, like believing in Ben Affleck in the first place, it can apply for a movie that we thought that got gutted to come back. Like it applies.
Oh no, like yeah,
uniformly.
But I guess like, what I'm saying is, this is definitively going to be my favorite Batman movie, and I already know it. Not counting BBS, obviously. Like, that's Batman solo.
Well,
but
yeah, but I'm trying to say like, yeah, like you're right though. Like you never know. Maybe Ben Affleck Batman comes, a Batman movie comes eventually. Maybe we get to see that.
Oh, and then
maybe,
but I end up liking this one.
Maybe it comes, and even crazier, a second Matt Reeves Batman comes out, and somehow that becomes your favorite Batman movie because somehow maybe it does everything you would ever want in Batman. Who knows? But either way, nothing's impossible.
No.
We could get Ben Affleck Batman movie.
Dude, honestly, at this point, like, again, like, I know it's crazy talk, but like months ago, even a year ago, I would have said, like, definitively, even me, Ben Affleck will never be Batman again. And look where we are. Like,
and so, I mean, yeah, that's a very good point. And
completely, I remember I was walking out, Darren and I, we had just installed the last stair stringer, and I walked out to check my phone, and then I decided I want to open up PC Cinematic, and it was like posted 20 minutes ago. Ben Affleck will return as the Batman in the Flash. And I remember thinking, like, I was like, yeah, we've seen this rumor. It's not happening. So I clicked on the article, and it was an interview with the director. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like, and it's funny, too, because I saw everyone trying to qualify it. Like, Humberto Gonzalez, who said that would never happen, and that the studio wasn't even interested in that, say, oh, well, it's just going to be a cameo. Like, for one, that's still 100 times more than I ever thought we'd get. Two, in the interview, the director says he plays a pivotal role in the movie. Like, I think everything's coming together, and I guess, do I have permission to start talking
Well,
Like,
so it's a good thing you asked, because I was gonna say at this point, you've been holding off so well before. Might as well get into it. But my last thing, that really
yes.
quick thought that I had to get out about the Batman
Oh, yeah,
trailer is I could not believe that Colin Farrell was the Penguin. I saw that.
I
Dude, was
still
just
don't
like,
believe
who the hell is that?
that's him.
Yeah, like I saw that and I was like, who the hell is that?
I
Should I know who that is?
I had no idea. I was like, why are they focusing on this guy? And then I saw people on like as it was happening, people were saying, "Is this the Penguin?" And people were saying, "No, that's not Colin Farrell. Like it's obviously not the Penguin." And then like as time went by, like as the hours went by, we were like, "Holy shit, that's Colin Farrell." And that makes me a lot more excited for his. Like I thought they were going some Gotham ass like.
Yeah, I remember when we were talking about him getting casted, we were saying how he doesn't look like him, and I was saying maybe they're going for like the super abstract interpretation they did in the Telltale series, where like Penguin's like more of like a skinny like South British like gangster type. But I mean, when I saw this, I was like, oh
I'm
no, they're going
for Elise's accent. Yeah, no, they are. I am very excited for his Penguin, especially now.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
after that, without further ado, I won't ask you to hold back any
final
longer, because
event.
we've been here for like 2 hours just for you. You're waiting for this exact moment.
Wow, we're
Zack
almost.
Snyder's
We've
Justice League trailer.